moment, and we're going to see just Job's strength through it all, and his ability to detect when he knows not there's some lies coming in. So so yeah, tonight that's our goal. Oh, this morning that's our goal, and yeah, and he doesn't hold back on his words. So he starts with sarcasm, hence why I started that title, and goes into profound reflection on God's power over both people and history. And then the chapter is filled with pain and also rich truth. Um, so yeah, let's read chapter 12 together. So, then Job replied. He's responding to Zophar, possibly all of the friends. Doubtless you are of the people, and wisdom will die with you. But I have in mind, as well as you, I am not inferior to you. Who does not know all these things? I have become a laughingstock to my friends, though I called upon God, and he answered, a mere laughingstock, though righteous and blameless. Men at ease have contempt for misfortune, as the fate of those whose feet are slipping. The tents of marauders are undisturbed, and those who provoke God are secure. Those who carry their God in their hands. But ask the animals, and they will teach you, or the birds of the air, and they will tell you, or speak to the earth, and it will teach you, or let the fish of the sea inform you. Which of all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand, in his hand is the life of every creature, and the breath of all mankind. Does not the ear test words, as the tongue tastes food? Is not wisdom found among the aged? Does not long life bring understanding? To God belong wisdom and power, counsel and understanding are his. What he tears down cannot be rebuilt. The man he imprisons cannot be released. If he holds back the waters, there is doubt. If he lets them loose, they devastate the land. To him belong strength and victory. Both deceived and deceiver are his. His leads counselors away stripped, and makes fools of judges. He takes off the shackles put on by kings, and ties a loincloth around their waist. He leads priests away stripped, and overthrows men long established. He silences the lips of trusted advisers, and takes away the discernment of elders. He pours contempt on nobles, and disarms the mighty. He reveals the deep things of darkness, and brings deep shadows into the light. He makes nations great, and destroys them. He enlarges nations, and disperses them. He deprives the leaders of the earth of their reason. He sends them a wandering through a trackless waste. They grope in darkness with no light. He makes them stagger like drunkards. Now, this is some, this is a strong response. Wow. So, let's look through it expositionally. We can see Job's sarcastic opening in the first couple of verses, from 1 through 3. It says, doubtless you are the people, and wisdom will die with you. Job begins with irony and sarcasm. He's not just being flippant. He himself is hurt, so he feels talked down by his friends, feels patronized. So he's act as though they have all the answers. That's what he feels like their attitude is. So sometimes the most painful part of suffering isn't just the pain, it's feeling misunderstood or even judged. So people seem to be helping, but they're not. And that is what's hurtful. It's like, they're trying to help, but they just don't get it. So, and they don't really understand your struggles. They're not really getting to the fault of your issues, or the points of your issues. Yeah. And that's frustrating. It's frustrating to be misunderstood. So we can understand Job here. Verses 4 through 6, you say to God, my beliefs are flawless and I am pure in your sight. Oh, how I wish that God would speak, that he would open his lips against you and disclose to you the secrets of wisdom. For true wisdom has two sides. Know this, God has even forgotten some of your sin. Now, Job points out something they have all ignored. The wicked are doing just fine. They're prospering. They're doing fine. He's challenging their belief, and suffering only happens to the guilty. That's what they think, that only the guilty are suffering. But look at all these people who are wicked around us. Are they suffering? They seem to have content lives. It's a powerful image in verse 6. It says, the tents of marauders are undisturbed, and those who provoke God are secure. So this peaceful tent of violent men. It's a peaceful tent of violent men. Sometimes the wicked live in peace while the righteous suffer. So Job is wrestling with this real world observation. It reminds us that prosperity isn't always proof of God's blessing, and suffering isn't always proof of God's guilt, our guilt from God. So, verses 7 through 10, we're talking about the wisdom from nature. So, ask the animals, or the birds, or the fish, which of these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? So Job begins to reflect more deeply. He appeals to creation, to the animals, as silent witnesses of God's sovereignty. Everything living, Job says, is in God's hands. The powerful image, in his hands is the life of every creature and the breath of all mankind. Wow. God's hand holding the breath of every creature. So God is not distant. He is intimately involved in all life. This is one of the most beautiful, most worshipful truths in the whole book. Even in his pain, Job sees that every breath we take is sustained by God. So, in the next section, in verses 11 through 13, we see wisdom doesn't belong to just the aged. It says, is not wisdom from among the aged? Does not long life bring understanding? So Job gives a nod to conventional wisdom, but then he pivots. True wisdom is with God. He is saying even the wisest human beings are just scratches the surface. Compared to God's wisdom that he holds when we're with him, the wisdom of man is insignificant. So the reflection we have here is that the experienced and the aged can teach us a lot, but we must never confuse human wisdom with divine understanding. So verses 14 through 25 talks about God's power over all things. So what he tears down cannot be rebuilt. Those he imprisons cannot be released. Job launches into a majestic and terrifying description of God's control over kings and nations and creation. This is some of Job's deepest theology so far that he has revealed to his friends. This isn't something he's kept in himself that he knows in his own heart. This is something he brought to his mouth. He spoke it out loud to his friends. He's revealing his theology, his deep theology and understanding. So, powerful image. He leads rulers away, stripped. He makes them wander in a tackless waste. Wow. to kings and rulers wandering lost in the wilderness. God humbles the proud and confuses the wise. We see a similar thing with King Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel. He did not acknowledge the Lord. He said, "Look at all this that I had built, from this and that to that and whatnot." He's saying his whole empire. He was part of it. He built all of that, and he was not acknowledging the Lord at all in that worship of himself. He continued to worship himself there, and so God sent him out to the wilderness to live like a wild animal. And he was crazy. Went crazy for seven years. He lived like a wild animal in the wilderness, and not until he acknowledged that the God Almighty was sovereign over all kingdoms and rulers, and he had the authority. So, yeah. So that happened to King Nebuchadnezzar. This happens to all the kings who get too puffed up. Like, God decides when to raise someone up, when to raise someone up in a ruling position, when to bring them down. It's all in his sovereignty. So, human power is fragile, so no leader, no plan, no nation is beyond the reach of God's authority. So that's the point I'm making here. So let's think of how we can apply this chapter to our lives. So I have 3 points of application. We have God, number 1, is bigger than our categories. Okay, Job's friends, they tried to shrink God into a formula. They try to say good people prosper, bad people suffer. Job says, look around. Life's not that simple, and neither is God. He is not that kind of a simple God. He is not simple. He is complex. So application number 2. You see, wisdom isn't just for the confident. Zophar spoke with certainty. Job speaks with humility. True wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's about acknowledging God's sovereignty when we don't. So, when we don't have all the answers, trust in God. God knows. God knows everything. Yeah. So, on the 3rd point of application, God holds every breath. In the middle of grief, Job still affirms that God holds the life of every creature. Now, that's not just a theological fact. It's a promise of God's presence and care, even when we don't feel it. So just kind of encourage us here as we continue through today's study. Job 12 reminds us that it's okay to ask hard questions, but also to hold on to deep truths. God is not just a distant judge. He's the one who holds our breath, directs history, and sees the whole picture. And even in suffering, we can trust that He is in control. So, all right.